Here. So my name is Brit Ballard, and I'm the product specialist for Apotheca Plant Medicine Dispensary. I'm sitting here with Pat today, and he is our spokesperson for Hemp Flower Naturals. It's one of our most cherished brands. So we're going to do a little Q&A for you all today so that you can learn more about the brand, how to better sell it to the customers, as well as how to get a more intimate relationship with it for yourself, and potentially get the most out of the products. So, Pat, where's your company based out of? We're just going to start there.
Okay, we are based out of Asheville, North Carolina. Offices here, but as far as where our products come from or our hemp comes from, everything is out of Oregon. And the reason Oregon hemp was chosen, quite frankly, is Oregon has been growing hemp for 20 years, which is the longest currently in the United States. For example, Kentucky's been growing hemp for about 6 years, Colorado 5 years, North Carolina 2 years, but Oregon, like I said, 20 years. And all the farmers that we use are very small private farmers that have been growing strictly hemp organically for 20 years. And our extractor has also been extracting for 20 years. So we went where we could find the highest quality hemp as well as the most experience.
So would you say in those states that have been doing it a lot longer, the soil is probably a lot more nutrient rich and adapted to the type of microorganisms that I guess probably make stronger plants?
Most definitely it is. And one problem with areas that have not been growing very long is that it's really important what the soil has been used for, or what has been grown there previously. And the reason for that is hemp is one of the worst plants for being a sponge. And anything that's in the ground, any chemicals, be it pesticides, herbicides, whatever has been used on previous plants that's still in the ground is going to be in the hemp for probably about 2 years, because it's going to suck everything out of the soil. So that's why it's really important that we went to Oregon and used strictly hemp that's been grown for 20 years in that same soil.
Okay. Yeah, I know mushrooms are like that too. They absorb everything. So our tobacco states generally the same, probably like do well with hemp, similar, I guess, like soil composition needs. But do you think that would affect like some of the tobacco states? Would that affect if they've been growing a lot of tobacco?
If
pesticides?
If the land they're using has been used for tobacco, yes, it would be affected, because tobacco is one of the tobacco is very highly chemically grown. Lots of pesticides, lots of herbicides, chemical fertilizers are used with tobacco. So all of that's in the ground, and you don't want that in your ground at all.
So that's interesting to know. Yeah, so since Oregon is a great choice. Cool. Well, so tell us a little bit about Hemp Flower Naturals' philosophy and their mission. What really is at the heart of that company?
Okay. Our philosophy was greatly influenced by our founder, John Weber. And John actually worked on the formula for Hemp Flower Naturals for about 5 years. And his whole founding philosophy was that when he found out how beneficial CBD was for almost everybody, he wanted to be able to formulate and use the highest quality raw materials that he could possibly find anywhere, and produce a CBD product that would have the highest possible assimilation or absorption that he could do, and also at the fairest price that he could do it. because so many people can benefit from CBD. He felt like the prices needed to be kept fair, so that those people that need it could afford it.
No. Yeah.
So I like to say that yes, our company will make money, like most CBD companies will make money as long as we're smart. But our mission is more about healing than just making a lot of profit.
Yeah, people are for profits.
Mm-hmm.
John's a great guy. He's actually one that brought me on board with this whole team. So
Cool.
Good guy.
He is a good guy.
So what would you say the single best-selling product is of the Hemp Flower Naturals line? If you had to pick one, that's just...
Well, our by far our best-selling product is our original formula tincture in the 1,000 milligram size. That is by far the best. That's the number one seller.
Okay.
And it makes it, having that size or that amount of milligrams makes it more cost effective than doing a 100 milligram or 500 milligram, which we also offer. But that's a good cost per serving, and is by far our top seller.
Okay. And then if you had to give, I guess, runner-up and third place.
Okay. The runner-up to that would be our 2,000 milligram size, and which is has even a lower price per serving. And then probably our third best seller would be our Pain Salve Recover, which is a phenomenal product. And just to tell you briefly a little bit about that product, it does have an extremely good serving of CBD in it, but it is also the only pain salve that I have seen in the market that uses colloidal silver, colloidal gold, colloidal platinum, and colloidal copper, which all have incredible health benefits for the skin, but I believe also are kind of like magic bullets because of their nano sizing that they absorb very quickly into the skin. And with the recovery, I was in one of my compounding pharmacy accounts in Raleigh recently, and while I was talking with the pharmacist, one of his customers came in specifically for a pain cream or a pain salve, and he immediately took her to our shelves and picked up a jar of the Recover and said, "I have cheaper products than this. I have more expensive products than this. But if you want the best pain product as far as a topical in my pharmacy, this is it.
Wow. That's awesome.
Pharmaceuticals or natural."
Yeah. Wow.
So that's pretty amazing.
So something I'm interested in, and I think that everybody would benefit to learn a little bit about, I know colloidal silver's got really good you can sometimes use it as an antibiotic substitute, it's antimicrobial and all that, but could you tell us a little bit more about, all of those metals? Is it like got any conductive properties in the body? Like, how is that helping it to become more bioavailable?
Well, the way it's helping the product become more bioavailable is just by the absorption into the surface of the skin. Because with such to be a nanoparticle or to be a colloidal particle, you have to be the particle needs to be between 1 and 100 nanos. If it's larger, it's not colloidal. If it's smaller, it's not colloidal. And to get smaller than one nano is pretty tough. But just by the mere tiny size of the particles, that's aiding in the absorption. And like I said, colloidal silver is antiviral, antibacterial, and antimicrobial. So it's doing an extremely good job of keeping the skin clean as far as germs go of any kind. Copper is extremely beneficial, especially I believe in the antibacterial world. Now, so there is one person or one group of people that should not be taking copper, and that's people who have experienced cancer or are experiencing cancer. And the reason for that is copper, taking copper allows the body to replicate its cells much, much faster.
Oh, so the proliferation could trigger cancer cell growth.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. Well, awesome. So yeah, I guess what makes your company different than other companies? Just say it in like just a few quick points, because obviously there's so many CBD companies out right now, and all the brands we carry, I think are all really, really good.
Right.
So if you had to pick a couple things that makes you all different, what would they be?
Okay. First would be, I think, what we talked about earlier, which is the philosophy of the company, and that our purpose and the reason we were founded was to heal. And so many of the companies now are what we call strictly white label companies, where there has been basically no research, nothing done except going to a company that's producing CBD and say, throw my label on this, I want to start selling CBD. Our company is extremely mindful of how it's been formulated, and we are not a white label company. The products are all very well thought out, very well researched, and that's the first thing that sets us apart from a lot of the companies out there. Also, the fact that we will only use Oregon hemp sets us apart. The fact that we extract from the flower. And most companies that extract from the flower only extract from the flower. We extract about 90% from the flower, about 10% from the trim, which is basically leaves and stems. And the reason we do that is there are a few compounds that are absent from the flower. Now, the flower is the highest concentration of CBD and terpenes and THC, but there are a couple things missing. So to be an absolute true full spectrum product, John formulated this product using about 10% of the leaves and stems to make it completely full spectrum, so that if it's in the plant, we get it out of the plant. Another thing that makes us different is our extraction process, which is ethanol extraction. Most companies use CO2. John decided that the best way to extract right now that's known is ethanol extraction. And what that does is creates a true full spectrum product by getting out both the polar and the non-polar chemicals from the plant. I use the term chemicals. Some people prefer to say molecular compounds, but they are actually
I would say constituents.
Constituents. It's all basically the same.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Some people just don't like to hear the word chemicals used when we're talking about plants.
Triggered.
But with ethanol extraction, you do get both the polar and the non-polar constituents out of the plant. Whereas with CO2 extraction, you only get the non-polar constituents. So you're leaving behind everything that's polar, which is quite a bit of it. So that is setting us apart. I would say those are the main points that set us apart.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Now to put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
Be a straight shooter. If you had to say your company's greatest weakness, or maybe an area, that you all would like to improve, even just in terms of reaching and being better, what would you say that your weakness is in? And also you can include this in your answer. How do you handle any customer objections or concerns, or maybe there's a story or something like that you overcame, or something you all discovered that you want to strive to be better on? What would you say that would be?
Wow, that's a tough one, because We have been able to handle, a few customer concerns here and there, and are working on some now. There's always some customer concerns. One customer concern we have had is taste, because in our formulation we do have ginger, and we have curcumin, and we have extracts of black pepper. And I should have mentioned those when we were talking about things that set us apart, because I don't know of any other company doing that.
Mm-hmm.
One concern that we have had, one of the greatest concerns that customers have had, is we do have a different taste. And it's not so much the taste, but it's what I call, once a person has kept the tincture under their tongue for, I keep it under my tongue for up to 5 minutes. But once it's under the tongue, but once you swallow the tincture, there can be a little bit of bite in the back of the throat, and that's coming mainly from the ginger, I think, and the black pepper. And actually, I don't even notice it anymore. But for a first-time user or a fairly new user, that little bite is there. Some people don't like it, so they don't use it. So one thing we're in the process of actually doing that, is changing that formula just a little bit to take care of that concern, because we know that's for some people that's keeping them from taking it.
Yeah.
Another concern that we have faced as far as people go, or customers go, retail customers, is a lot of people don't want to taste anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they would rather have a pill. And in reality, they would rather have one pill that does absolutely everything for them.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, that would be about as big as this room that we're sitting in. So it's impossible. But we are in the process of coming out with capsules, so that people can take the product without having to deal with the taste. As far as someone who wants to return the product, we do honor that. We allow you to take the product back. You need to take it back within 30 days. The product needs to be half full, and we will want a reason for why the customer returned it, and then we will replace that product to you. So if that's a customer concern, we do take care of that.
See, I tend to like the black pepper and the ginger. I kind of like the bites. I feel like it's working. I like to feel something that's just gets you going,
I like it too. And the good thing about that is, we do have comments about it,
mm-hmm.
but the product for the vast majority of people that try it works so well, they just say, well,
yeah,
I'll just do it. And if they take it for a while, like with me,
mm-hmm.
the sensation pretty much goes away.
Right, and you probably also psychologically start to associate the taste with the positive benefits.
Exactly.
Like me, I start to like it.
Exactly.
I like to taste the plant that I'm intaking as medicine too, because it makes me feel like more in unison with it working in my body too, to just really kind of feel the plant essence, if you will. But,
exactly.
Yeah, so cool. What type of customers would you say that you see coming to you all the most often?
This was a surprise to me, but this comes from both my pharmacy clients and my store clients, is that most of the people who are coming in looking for CBD are in their mid to late 50s through their 80s. And they are coming in mainly for pain. Because as we age, and I can attest to that, things don't seem to work the way they used to. And we deal with more pain. So it is more upper middle age to senior citizens that are using CBD. Now, a lot of younger people are using it as well. I don't think they're using it as much for pain, but probably more for anxiety. Because those are the two most common reasons that people use CBD is for pain and anxiety.
Yeah.
It does have other benefits, but that's the two biggies.
Okay.
So we've got more the older group that's using it for pain, more the younger through middle age, and some older that are using it for anxiety.
Okay. Awesome. And so you would say, I guess, obviously, would you say that the older people using it for pain go more for the recover pain self, or they go more for the sublingual?
Actually, more for the sublingual. I do know of some people that are using the recover pain salve successfully for their arthritis, but most people are using the sublingual to get the full body effect of the CBD for arthritis. That's I use it sublingually for my arthritis, and I've got severe arthritis in my hands. Yeah. But with the use of CBD, I didn't realize I had it.
Right. So it'd be really beneficial probably too if somebody has really bad pain, using the sublingual as a part of their daily routine, but then using the topical to get that local for like breakthrough pain that happens sometimes, and then that probably takes care of it all. So
exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. So tell us your favorite customer success story.
Let's see. Probably when we first came out with the product, which was about 9 months ago now, I believe. Probably one of my favorites would have to be the first store I walked into. Had an appointment with them, but I walked in and told them I was going to present them with a new CBD line. And the customer took me back to her office, and we sat. And the first thing she pointed out to me were 2 lines on her desk of CBD that she had looked at last week. And she said, "I'm just going to warn you before we start. These look like really great lines, and I did not bring either one of them in. And I don't care what you tell me about your line. I'm not going to bring your line. But I will listen to you. And then when I'm ready to bring a line in, I'll consider it if I like it." So we sat, and I just explained the difference in our line to CO2 extracted lines, the difference in using Oregon hemp versus other places, what our philosophy was. And before I was finished, she said, "Give me your order form."
Wow.
I'm bringing your line in. So when people listen and understand the differences, they typically bring the line.
Yeah.
And once you guys understand the differences, you'll be able to explain it to your customers that come in. And in a lot of cases, hopefully you'll push ours, but you'll push other people's as well. And that's business. You've got all these great lines in your store, and everything is not for everybody. But we're for enough different people, and our philosophy is so great that I think we'll do well.
Yeah, awesome. So for our employees, we covered a lot today, and of course every customer that walks in, you're going to spend a different amount of time with each person depending on where they're at with their education and how much time they have, several different things. But let's say if you were doing just a quick talk with a customer, what would you say is the most important? Let's say a customer asks the employee, like, "Hey, just could you give me a couple of different brands that I should look at for this or whatever?" What would you say if they only had a second to highlight Hemp Flower Naturals? Like, what would be like the couple words they would say about it that would really drive it home and be the most important thing to highlight?
Okay. I would say the really big things to hit on quickly are the absorption of the product. And the reason I say that is going back to what I was saying about ethanol extraction. This is not everything that you would want to say because you would bore most of your customers to death. But you need to know that with ethanol extraction, you're getting both the nonpolar constituents and the polar constituents out of the plant. And what that is doing, the nonpolar part gives you a fat-soluble tincture. The polar part gives you a water-soluble. Whereas with CO2, CO2 is strictly nonpolar, so the only thing it can get out of the plant are the nonpolar constituents. So it's going to be completely fat-soluble. So Hemp Flower Naturals is extremely well absorbed for people. Now, a lot of people absorb fat extremely well. A lot of people most people absorb water soluble better. So having a combination of water solubility and fat solubility, we're going to be, in most cases, we're going to be a little bit better absorbed than most CBD lines, unless they're ethanol extracted. The other thing to do, very, very important, and I'm sure you know this, but you've got to really listen to your customer. And just ask, are you dealing with pain? Are you dealing with anxiety? What's going on in your life that you are looking for CBD? Or do you just know that it's going to be helpful, so you want something that's good? Another thing, I was in a store recently that I trained every staff member in the store, and I walked in the store, and one of the staff was at their CBD counter talking to a customer, and he had it narrowed down pretty much to two different products. And when I loved what he said now in the final analysis, these are the two that I would recommend to you. So this product, and he was pointing to Hemp Flower Naturals. So this product is extremely well absorbed, so they really key in on that. But the other thing they key in on is taking care of any stomach upset or stomach distress you might have from taking a CBD oil. And what is doing that is the ginger. And to my knowledge, nobody else is putting any ginger extract in their product. And some people do get upset stomach when they're taking a CBD product. So the ginger in there is there to take care of that. So that's the absorption is very important, as well as the stomach distress is very important.
Okay, and that would just be for the sublinguals, of course, right?
Right, for the sublinguals.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so yeah, you're in demand. If you're selling Flower Naturals in just a quick elevator pitch comparison with others, absorption, stomach distress, and perhaps 100% organic hemp, maybe a good thing to mention, ethanol extraction, and good company that puts people over profits.
Very good.
Awesome. So yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about the extraction method, ethanol. Do you want to kind of describe, I guess, what the process looks like for your company, or have you been there to actually see the ethanol extraction happen?
I haven't been there to see our actual extraction, but ethanol extraction is somewhat ethanol extraction. And what I like about ethanol extraction, for one thing, is if you go into, say, any health food store and go to their liquid herbal extracts, 99% of those herbal extracts have been extracted with ethanol. That is the traditional way to do it. It's been done that way for thousands of years. And in ethanol extraction, what we're doing is you basically take the plant material that you're extracting, and you place it in the ethanol. If there's any heat involved, it's very low heat. There's pressure, especially high pressure, is not involved. Pressure is not involved in it, and the plant material sits in the alcohol for a somewhat longer period of time, and all of these components of the plant flow gently into the ethanol. So it's a very, very humane, very gentle way to treat a plant. And what I really like about the experience of our extractor is that in his extraction process that he's developed over a 20-year period, he gets 80% of the materials that are in the plant into the extract. Now, I was informed actually by a store owner that has done a lot of research into different companies, and she informed me that the industry standard for what a company gets out of their plants is 25 to 35%.
Whoa.
And we get 80%.
Wow.
Now that's not a judgment so much on the quality of that product versus the quality of our product, but what that tells you very quickly is we are much more environmentally friendly than most other companies, because it requires us to use much less plant material to make our tinctures than it does other companies.
Yeah.
So I think that is huge. And when I told her that we got 80% of the constituents out of the plant, her statement was to me that there are only 2 other companies in the entire industry that she knew of that even came close to us.
Wow.
So the quality, when you're selling a hemp flower natural product, I mean, it's all there. The quality, the process, the plant material, you name it. It's done. It's everything we can do to do it right. We do. So.
Awesome. I have to hit him up and see what his methods are for seeing my tinctures. Is it about 3 weeks that they do the ethanol, or I've just made, regular alcohol and oil based tinctures, but
I believe it is, I think, about 2 to 3 weeks. And that is one problem with a company that does ethanol extraction. Mm-hmm. And that is, and we've seen it twice now. When we run out of stock on something, we're out of stock. Mm-hmm. And we're out of stock for more than a week. Mm-hmm. Because it takes time to produce an ethanol extraction, whereas CO2 extraction is much, much faster. Yeah. So they may be out of stock for a week and can get replenished. But if you just flat run out of stock with ethanol extraction, mm-hmm. you're out of stock. So it takes a lot more planning.
Yeah. You do a lot of staggered cycles.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Well, yeah. So I know this question we actually just changed third-party labs, correct, recently.
Yes.
So, and that is something to going forward. That could change with any of our companies in our videos. So always be sure to check the COAs that you have in the store if anyone asks to see what the current lab testing company is, and make sure the labs are current. Make sure you have the most recent COA. If it's outdated, let your store manager know, let someone know, because we want to have the most recent ones. We used to use, for Hemp Flower Naturals, which lab?
I think it's called Verde.
Pro Verde?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Verde.
And then we just switched. So yeah, be sure to check the COAs for that information so that you're familiar with those company names. What strain do you all use it?
Our primary strain that we use is Pineberry because of its extreme ability in fighting. It's great for inflammation and pain. That's it's very good for that. But it also has very good anti-anxiety properties. I would like to jump back on the COAs and testing, in that just to let you know, we do COAs, terpene profiles, soil testing, and plant testing on every batch that we do. And all of that can be found on our website, which is hempflowernaturals.com/resources. Our regular website is hempflowernaturals.com, but to find all the testing, you can go to the .com/resources.
Yeah, and we should have that on Apotheca too. I think when you go to order your product, we have the COAs and should have, I guess, most of what you all have up there updated. So of course you all feel free to use the Hemp Flower Naturals website for your learning and research purposes. But if a customer asks, try to send them to our website or try to show them the binder in the store that has all the COAs and stuff like that. Cool. So do you know what cannabinoids are most prominent in that pineberry strain? Because whatever's prominent in the strain is obviously going to be prominent in the product within the extraction and the creams. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the cannabinoids.
Well, of course there is THC, which is there, except for our THC free, and we're mainly CBD and CBDA as far as the strains of CBD. And then as far as the terpenes go, we have limonene and pinene, linalool. This one always gets me. Caryophyllene, humulene, and terpineol. And if you're more familiar with the world of protein, which most people are, than they are with the world of CBD and cannabinoids, terpenes can be kind of compared to amino acids in that they're amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And each amino acid has a little bit different property than the other amino acid, and terpenes are the same way. Most of the terpenes are anti-inflammatory and anti-anxiety. Then some of them also have maybe antibacterial. Some of them are antifungal. Some are even anti-cancer. But the terpenes are somewhat like the building blocks of CBD, like amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And those, like the amino acids that I mentioned, are all pretty much all anti-inflammatory. Now the limonene.
Terpenes.
Yes, terpenes. I'm sorry, I missed.
Making sure it's fall.
Okay, the limonene is like anti-inflammation and anti-cancer properties. And you cannot just blankly say to your customers, "Oh, this is anti-cancer." The only thing you can do is talk about something if you have what's called a double-blind, placebo, peer-reviewed, published study showing its effectiveness against a certain property. And right now we're speaking of cancer. And I believe you're going to be provided with some studies showing the effectiveness of certain terpenes on cancer that you will have proof. And to do that, you would need to be able to tell your customer that this particular study exists, and it would be even better if you can show it to them. But anytime the word cancer comes up, you've got to be extremely careful. And like when I'm in a situation in a store, in a pharmacy, wherever, and somebody starts talking about cancer, I will write down for them a list of several different things that have been shown to be either preventative or healing, curing, however you want to say it. and just say you need to do your research, just for safety, because there are things we can say and things we cannot say. So you need to err on the side of caution when you're speaking with a customer, because our environment has gotten to the point where there are secret shoppers that come around the stores, and in some cases, it could even be the FDA, because they are doing it. And they will come in and just test you and ask you questions to see if you get too far. And if you do go too far, it's not good for you or the store. So I just can't stress enough being careful. And that's not just for my products, that's for everything in your store. Because there are a lot of properties that CBD has and a lot of things it will do. But you've got to take caution in what you say.
Definitely. It's definitely always, like you said, always best to err on the side of caution and, disclaim, basically, in the sense of saying, I'm not a doctor, I cannot tell you that this will or will not do this, use that sort of verbiage. Say that you can say, I have seen studies that say or claim, but we cannot guarantee or make that claim. But you can always, lead them in the direction of, eventually we'd like to get a database that has a lot of these studies and stuff and have it in store, and so we can show the customer, put that in their hands. If they can read that, that takes it off of you, you know what I mean? And they can put two and two together. But, and also saying things like, be sure to check with your doctor. Like if somebody has a concern and they're asking you too many questions, tell them to go ask their doctor. That's always a good safe bet, and it keeps you safe. It lets them know that you're doing the right thing and you're not claiming to be a doctor or replace their doctor. But yeah, so we'll try to get you all some of those studies because that'll be great for them to see that, and then you're not responsible for telling them what it does. They can read it right there. It's nice.
And just a specific situation that came up about maybe a month ago. One of my stores called me, a health food store, and a customer had just left a vape shop and was looking for CBD. And the customer came to the health food store and said, I just left this vape shop. And the young man working there told me that if I would take CBD, I could get off of 21 prescription medications within 2 weeks. That's a no-no. Don't ever say anything like that.
Yikes.
Just wanted to throw that in.
Just yikes. Okay, so recommended dosing. Talk a little bit about, I guess, maybe somebody's never taken CBD versus somebody's tried a bunch of CBD, how would you recommend them starting out dosing with your product, depending on various things? And what mode of intake, which for you all, you only have sublingual and topicals, really.
Right.
So
at this
that's
point,
not really relevant, but yeah.
Okay. The method that is mostly prescribed, and I definitely go by, is what we call the low and slow method. And that is where you start a person off at a low dose, and then they increase it slowly over time until they get to the point where they can feel it working. Now that's in the case of anxiety and pain, because if they're using it to treat